Okay. So yeah, personal branding is so powerful. And I think any woman in a leadership capacity, whether or not you're looking to elevate in an already existing role within an organization, which I call it, if you're an entrepreneur, or if you're an entrepreneur, or if you're both, right? You should strategically position yourself. And what you're doing with personal branding is you're controlling the narrative. And I tell women all the time, but whether you believe it or not, whether you want to accept it or you don't, you are a brand, period, point blank. And you either can control your brand or you can let the audience create that brand narrative for you. But either way, everyone's a brand, right? And with technology and how it's positioned today, um, if we utilize it properly, we can control our narrative and we can give ourselves additional opportunities in this world. But not only that, I think more importantly, because of technology, if we use it properly, we can actually accelerate our impact. So I'm going to go through the presentation today. Feel free to ask any questions. I think it will be great. This is interactive. Like I'm a talker. I'm happy to present and lecture, but I think the more questions you all ask while I'm going through it, I think it will make for great dialogue and clarity. And then I think also when anyone's watching the recording, they will benefit from it as well. So give me a moment. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to get right into it. One moment, please. But yeah, man, if again, we'll go through this, but I kid you not, if you take control of your personal brand, you will see the fruits of your labor. All right. So with that being said, let's get into it. I'm going to share my screen. I have 155 tabs open. Do not judge me. Okay. Don't judge me. Okay. All right. All right. So I always tell folks this personal branding framework, and which is why I am so passionate about it and pushing it, is because God gave it to me, right? I had a download last year, and the Holy Spirit showed me what happens when you actually walk in who you were called to be. Right. So again, personal branding is not about creating this new persona. It's actually about projecting what God has created you to be and created you to do. So you're actually just being yourself. But when you walk in your I am, you will increase your influence, accelerate your impact, and multiply your income. It's actually like that's what comes with being you, authentically you, but being bold enough to put it out into the atmosphere. Again, I'm going to say you will increase your influence, which means people will begin to listen to you. They want to hear from you. You essentially kind of become like that expert, right? And whatever it is that you're doing, you are the person that people want to listen to because you are literally walking in what God called you to be. And don't let me start preaching now, because God has given us, each and every single one of us, something to have dominion over or to dominate in. It could be music, it could be singing, it could be strategy, it could be public speaking, it could be poetry, it could be basketball, it could be whatever it is. God has packaged you up already and given you something that he wants you to dominate in. So when you walk in what you're supposed to do, you will dominate that arena. And when you do, you increase your influence. And when you increase your influence, because of that, now your impact is accelerated when you begin to put strategy around it. And then, of course, I say, do not chase money, you chase impact. Income is inevitable, right? Because money is just something that follows value, right? So we don't ever want to chase money. We just become valuable. And the more valuable we are, the money will follow us. So that's why you multiply your income when you accelerate your impact. All right. So be present, be attentive, you do the work. I'm going to go over some key things, but we will have an opportunity to really think about what our values are and share them with the world, right? You can share it with us in this space. It is a safe space. So yeah, be present, be open, and be attentive. And if you do the work, you'll reap the benefits. All right. So I really want us to walk away understanding what personal branding is and what it's not. I'm not here to teach you how to be an influencer. I'm not here for that. I'm here to teach you how to fully project who you are and understand your power, and then how to strategically package it in a way that's beneficial to the world and will also literally increase and multiply your income. That's just part of the formula, right? It's part of what happens when you become a valuable person, when you give value, the currency follows that. So that's what I'm here to help you do. So if you see that your income isn't increasing, it could be that your strategy is off, right? Like something's happening, because again, if you are delivering value, in exchange, the currency is supposed to come with that. So we can talk about that a little later when we get into it. And then practical implementation, right? So when you walk away today, you should have real handy dandy strategies to go and immediately implement and begin using and setting yourself up to begin to see increased and accelerated impact. And then from there, you'll see that revenue will come from that. All right. Personal branding is the process of creating an identity for yourself as an individual or a business. And we'll get into that, because sometimes what happens with people, they have a business, but they use themselves as the business. And I can show you some examples of that. And that it depends on what you want to do. But what I've learned is I can have a business, but also I want you to know who Nancy Tai Aragbaye is. And when you begin to create that identity, it's important because, for instance, I offer the strategic solutions, right? I also have NTA Consulting, and which NTA Consulting provides certain consulting services. But Nancy does a lot. Like Nancy public speaks. Nancy is an author. Nancy, who knows what I want to do. Executive coaching, right? Like there's so many things outside of the business that I want to do. And when probably 10 years from now, I'll just share a few things that I want to do. I will have a makeup line. I want to have a suit line. So custom, like fly ass suits are in the making. And then like the next 5 to 10 years, I want a coffee shop. I also will be working with presidents of the world, right? So people are going to want Nancy. They're not going to want strategic solutions. Now, some people want strategic solutions, but the president of Ghana or Nigeria or the United States doesn't necessarily want strategic solutions. They want Nancy. So I have to make sure that my personal brand is positioned to make sure that the things that Nancy wants beyond strategic solutions, beyond NTA Consulting, Nancy can deliver, right? And we'll get into like, what are your goals 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and what are your goals this year? Because your personal brand needs to be aligned to that. Now, Nancy also still does strategic solutions. So we'll get into how am I projecting and setting myself up for the things that I want. You won't even know, but when I begin to show you how I'm actually positioning myself for my makeup line that's coming out, and we wouldn't worry about that. But I've thought about these dates, right? Like I've thought about it, and I'm beginning to position myself. Now, you don't even know what's happening. I do, because I'm in control. But the audience, you'll start to see this year too. You'll start to see more. Literally, I am positioning myself to have a makeup line for Black women, which will be out, but I'm doing things now and showing up in certain ways that the audience does not even know that it's happening. Same thing with the clothing line that I want to launch, and same thing with these presidents who don't know they're going to hire me yet. It is coming. And the fact that I want to be this well-renowned speaker, right? Like I'm beginning to position myself now for something I want 5 and 10 years from now. So you'll see that. But anyways, it's creating this identity for yourself. So you have to have a consistent look and a consistent message. And your message should be offline and online. Okay. Now, I am who I am. It doesn't matter if you meet me at a coffee shop or if you see me online, I am the same person. Now, online, you may not see all of who I am. It does not mean that I'm hiding or I'm ashamed. It just means there's a consistency that I want to project, because every time I show up in this space, it is a commercial. So you'll believe it or not, personal branding and business, the transaction of business is actually very psychological. So for instance, I was a big fitness addict a couple years ago until COVID got hold of me, and then I started traveling and I got on this way. But anyways, I like to spin. I am a spinner. Trap spin is what I love it. I also like hanging out with my family and just like doing mommy things. Like that's a big thing for me too. What else do I love? Oh, basketball. What? Like that's my thing. That's my jam. I also like to go out and I might have a little drink, maybe like one, because I'm really not a big drinker, you guys. But you're not going to catch me putting those things out. Not because I'm ashamed, but I want to work for a president in like 5 to 10 years. Okay. If I'm constantly projecting myself going out and doing my thing with my girls, like I am not positioning myself for what I want, right? Again, I'm not ashamed by any means. I have a good time. I really do. I love to do certain things, but I am positioning myself and I want a consistent image. I'm controlling it, because when you say, who is Nancy? I want you to say, oh, she's this, and she's that. And I'm projecting who I am, the values that I carry and I believe in. That's what I want you to say about me. So there are certain parts where it's, again, it doesn't make sense to put out into the atmosphere because it's not going to attract what I want. Some people are very stubborn about that and they don't understand it, but I say it's up to you. But if you're not attracting the opportunities, it might be because you're not consistently showing that you're ready for them. So you want to make sure that your look is consistent. And when I say look, from your image to how you show up, to the environments that you're around, right? And I'll just ask a question from you meeting me personally, right? Either through virtual interaction or physically, and my online presence. Can I just have someone just like volunteer, like, what do you perceive about Nancy, just from my online presence and from the interactions that you've had with me?
So, I mean, for me, we met online, phone call, and you've shown up as that every single time, whether it was in person, on a call, in this virtual space, you've always shown up exactly as who you are. Our very first conversation was very raw, very real, very transparent. And so you have consistently shown up in that space as your true, authentic self. You know, the conversations that we've had and how you're now implementing the conversations that we had into this world to create change for women. You're sticking true to the vision and you're showing up online and in person as the vision.
Thank you. I appreciate that. One thing that I try to do, no matter who you are, I can't even be in a space. So let me just go back to when I applied for this role, right? There's many things I can do a lot. I actually can do a lot of things. and my spirit would not allow me to apply for certain jobs because I'm in a space where I wholeheartedly want to help Black families, period, point blank. That's what it is, right? I know that God has called me to be a person that bridges Africa and the diaspora. So if it's not about Black empowerment, I can't even do it. So like I've thought about, ooh, maybe I should go over here and like work for this company, but it's not in alignment with what I believe my assignment is. Therefore, I can't even, no matter how much you're offering, I can't even be in that space, right? So understanding who you are, what your message is, it needs to be consistent online. So the reason why I don't post me going out is because it's not consistent with, not that it's not, I can't have fun, but I'm trying to change the world and I'm trying to bridge Africa and the diaspora. And me going out and having a drink or two, that does not, that it just doesn't align. Not that I can't, again, every now and then you might see it, but it's not a consistent thing that you're going to see from Nancy Tyra, right? It's just not. But I do like to do a splash and show my daughter here and there. I might show me going out with my friends here and there because that's a part of who I am as well. And I think relaxation and enjoyment is important. But you're really going to see me like women empowerment, Black empowerment, African diaspora. Like that's the message I'm trying to put out. Entrepreneurship, intrapreneurship, leadership. Like you're going to get that 90% of the time. You need to figure out what is your message that you want to put out 90% of the time. And when you meet people, you need to be talking about that physically. And when you're online, you need to be talking about that digitally as well. Period, point blank. Even your images, and we'll get into that in just a little bit, the pictures that you post. When they say a picture is worth 1,000 words, the images that you're posting online say something about you. Is it in alignment with what you want to attract? Because if it's not, you might need to go back and do some reworking. Stella had a question. What's your thought on a brand has to start as a seed and lead to a tree before you sow more seeds? Meaning a brand has to be focused before it branches out, referencing the multiple ideas and businesses. Okay, that's a great question. I think what you're asking is kind of like a hyper focus on one thing, right, Stella? I think that's what you're trying to say. Now, people like for me, I just named like 100 things I want. There's a lot of businesses in my brain. Like I got a lot. Okay. You want to have strategy. And let me say this, this seed, yes, you need to plant the seed and you need to have a consistent message. I think you can do a lot. You can. That's the power of a personal brand. Your personal brand will allow you to kind of talk about the different branches that you're working on. So it could be, so let's just take Nancy right now. I talked about the makeup line. I've talked about the clothing line. I do consulting and I have strategic solutions, a book's on its way that I'm working on. Someone might say that's a lot. And it is, but for a couple of years, I had a hyper focus. And for 4 years, I've been focusing on building strategic solutions and being known for women empowerment. You're probably going to start to see youth empowerment now because that's where my heart was, but God told me to start with women. You're going to start to see that now, but I've already known for something. I already have influence in a certain sphere. So now I can start to branch out to other things. Sometimes when you haven't established your level of influence, you'll confuse the audience because it's like, what are you do to like, not that you do too much, but you do too much in the sense that I don't know what you do because you do too much. So when you control your influence, then you can do whatever you want to do because now you already have a following. People already trust you. You're known for something. So the next thing you bring out, it's like, let's roll. Let's roll with it. So yes, get grounded in something first before you start to do too much. Not that you can't, but build your influence. Build your influence in a certain space first. That would be my recommendation. And then once you do that, that's why. Let's take Rihanna. Rihanna's a billionaire. Rihanna influence, and she's a singer, so it's a lot easier because she's in the media all the time. But she was known for something and then garnered a lot of support and love. And because of that, then she okay, so let's take her pathway, right? Then she did Fenty. I was like, oh, super dope. Oh, Rihanna has a business. Cool. I want to support Rihanna. And then it became like a thing like, oh no, I kind of believe in what she's doing because this is like inclusive makeup and inclusive beauty. It comes out with just 50 shades. That was it. Then all of a sudden she got lip gloss. And all of a sudden she got mascara. All of a sudden she had this and that and that. Oh, wait, Savage Fenty, perfume. What else now Rihanna just has a lot of things. I think she's coming out with Fenty Kids in a little bit. Like now she's all over the place. But she started off with just music and built her influence and then became an entrepreneur and then started multiple businesses, right? So this is where you got to be so in touch with your intuition because everything is not our right now. And I think what happens with a lot of people, they want to do it right now. And I'll tell you guys, you guys are going to laugh. Okay. I don't know if you've ever seen me wear my visionary sweatshirt. Okay. I have a visionary hoodie. And I was praying to God in 2020. And God showed me this literally, because I don't know if I haven't shared with you, I get visions. So I can see like 5 years, 10 years, and like 3 seconds. So I'm praying and I get this flash of the visionary logo on a shirt. And I'm like, man, okay. So anyways, fast forward, my little brother sketches this logo out and I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's what I saw. So then I find this graphic designer in Romania, boom, he puts it on, he gets it, does it properly. And I'm so excited and bam, I get 100 hoodies. It's the worst, it was ridiculous. And all of a sudden I'm randomly selling these hoodies. It was so terrible, you guys. It was a hot mess. I say all that to say, I was so excited about this new endeavor. But in reality, it wasn't time. Visionary is coming in 2024. So I got an idea 4 years ago, and it wasn't time to launch it. So this is where you have to, I say, know who you are and be in alignment. And this is, I do talk about intuition. This is not the conversation for that. My intuition is my Holy Spirit. I know everyone, their intuition is other things, but you need to, whatever it is, learn to listen to your intuition because your intuition will guide you on what is for right now. Sometimes the intuition in our brain and all these ideas, they'll come and we think we're supposed to do it, but your intuition will tell you what is right now. And when I began to listen to my intuition, I realized that the hyper focus for my season was women. And I surrendered to that. And that's actually when my influence started to increase in that sphere. So now, because I obeyed that, there's other things that are happening for me now that are in alignment with the things that I had in my brain, but it wasn't yet time for that. So that was a great question, Stella. But your personal brand, you can have 50 businesses if you want. You can have 50 passions if you want. With your personal brand, you have, and we'll get into that and later in this presentation, where when you position your personal brand right, your personal brand is like the tree stump. And the branches are all the things that are attached to you, right? That make up you. So for instance, I'm Nentutaya Ragbaye. I have a digital portfolio. And from my digital portfolio, you can find the boards that I'm on, right? All my little passions that I'm on. Because of that, you can find NTA Consulting. You can find Strategic Solutions. You're going to find the book that I'm going to author this year. You're going to find the makeup line that's coming in 5 years. Like you're going to find all these things just through, but you put in NancyRagbaye.com, you're going to know where I am digitally. And when I show up in spaces, you'll know that I'll start to talk about these different things when I'm talking to people physically. But I am the tree trunk, and all of my passions and my business ideas and things like that, I would say are the branches. But what are you grounded in first, right? You need to figure out and ground yourself in something, grow that, And then from there, you can start focusing on the other passions and ideas that you have. And your intuition will tell you where to start. What's the first seed that you plant? All right. Are there any questions so far? Feel free to like dive in, comment in any way, shape, or form that you want as we're going through this. Okay. Here's some myths, and anyone that's in a position of leadership, if you are a woman serious about building or creating engineering change is what I call it, you need to do away with these myths, and you need to start a personal brand yesterday. I'm not here to teach you how to be an influencer. I'm here to teach you how to accelerate your impact. Personal branding is not about being famous, though fame will probably come because of your impact, but it's not about being famous. It's not about being an influencer so you can get brand deals and be cool and have a lot of followers. Like that's not, you can have a lot of influence and have 1,000 followers. Okay. So some of these influencers are Instagram famous and they don't make any money. And they haven't made any real impact in society, right? So personal branding is really about how do you project who you are and your values and make impact from it. And because God is such a good God, you become blessed for your impact and money follows that. It's not about being egotistical and narcissistic. I've had people that have actually worked for Strategic Solutions, and their, I would say, ego probably flared, and they thought that, I'm like, you guys, this is not, I don't do stuff for clout. This is not about being a narcissist. It's not about being egotistical. It's not that I want to showcase. It's not about showcasing to be like, oh, look at me and all the wonderful things that I'm doing to save the world. The reason why you're showing up is because it's going to accelerate the impact. And if you have an idea, if you have knowledge, if you have something that can change the world, why would you not share it with as many people so they can then be changed? That's what it's about. It should have nothing to do with you and who you and your narcissism and your ego. No, it's actually should be done out of humility. So I say this, yes, you can show up on social media and you can, I say, we don't do it for the clout, but it doesn't mean you don't deserve the credit. And when you're getting credit, it's not because you want the credit for yourself. It's so you can continue to build your influence, so you can continue to make more impact. That's all that it's about. So just make sure that when you're building your personal brand, that it's centered properly in your heart. And you'll see that that's where the blessings come. So it's not about being egotistical, narcissistic, and you don't have to create an image. I'm not telling you to go create a new personality and do something new. You should just be projecting who you are. Maybe it's a portion of who you are, not 80% of who you are, but you're just showcasing who you are. And here's the beautiful thing about creating your image too. As you start to increase your influence, you can portray more things about yourself, because a brand is about trust. So the reason why I don't showcase, I don't know, me going out with the homies is because the president that I'm going to work for in 10 years doesn't know me. They don't know me. And because they don't know me, people, and again, it's not me like, oh, I care about what people think about me. No, it's about me controlling my narrative so I can get what I want, right? So what a brand is about, trusting the entity. So the more commercials that I project out into the world that are in alignment with what the audience wants, then they begin to trust it. So I cannot have misalignment. If I have misalignment, then they no longer trust me. So for me personally, I always say, I'm not going to, if I don't know the lawyer, like I have lawyer friends who like, they get it and they outside and they do whatever. But if I don't know you, in my first interactions with you, the lawyer, you're in some Daisy Dukes on some skates and you're twerking outside, I'm not going to hire you. I'm not, because I don't trust. I'm like, well, where's the work at? Where's like the lawyer work at? Because you outside all the time. I don't know if you're capable of handling my case. I don't. It's just the way we're wired as human beings. If you don't trust someone, like if you hire a plumber and he's always talking about, I don't know, something else that don't got nothing to do with plumbing, and he shows up to your house and he don't have his plumbing tools, you're probably going to want to hire somebody else because you don't trust that they're capable of doing the job. And that is what it's about. So you're projecting an image that's in alignment to your goals. All right. So you have to know who you are. You got to know who you are. You got to know who you are. I say that all the time. Be intentional and deliberate with how you show up. Okay. I'm not saying, again, don't change who you are. I say project who you are, but know what the more you know who you are and you know your assignment, showing up, you'll be able to show up intentionally and deliberate. So from the things that I post to how I show up in the real world, to some of the outfits that I wear when I go to certain places, like I am so deliberate. Again, it's still me. This is me too. Like I got on fitness clothes and everything like that. But when I show up to certain spaces, I'm going to be dressed a certain way. I'm going to look a certain way. I'm going to talk about certain things because I'm being so intentional and it's in alignment to where I want to be 10 years from now, period, point blank. So that's how intentional and deliberate you want to be with your brand, all the way down to the photos that you select, that you post on social media. I kid you not. It's telling a story. It is telling a story. All right. So I say to people want to jump out and start doing all sorts of things. And I'm creating a personal brand, but they have not set themselves up from a foundational standpoint. And building a personal brand is like building a house. When your house is on solid ground and it has the foundations, it will stand for a long time, period, point blank. But when you don't have your foundations and you don't know who you are and you don't know what your values are and you don't know what your goals are, you will waver. You're going to look to the left and you're going to see, oh, that page over there, she's doing that and it's working for her. Then all of a sudden you switch and you start doing that. And you see something else to the right of you and you're like, ooh, I'm going to start doing that. Because you think it's working for other people, but you have no foundation. So you waver. And because you're wavering, you can't build the influence and you can't make the impact you're supposed to make at an accelerated pace. Therefore, you're not going to attract the income that you're supposed to be making simply because you don't have your foundations. So know your foundations, build the foundation, you guys. Sometimes this stuff takes time. Again, I started Strategic Solutions 4 years ago. And I've been evolving and shifting and following my intuition. And the more I know who I am, the more I can stand in spaces and authentically be me with no shame whatsoever. Like, I don't even care. It doesn't matter. I can talk. It don't matter if you're Obama, Oprah, freaking Dangote. I don't care who you are. I'm going to be me, period, point blank. And I know what I can offer the world. And the more you know that and you're grounded in your foundation, it's going to lead you to success. They're going to want you. Okay, so we got to set up the strategy. So how do you set up the strategy? Well, you got to know where you're going. You got to have a compass. That's number one. And I said in the group, I've been trying to get the little LinkedIn going and what are your goals, this and that. But I promise you, no, if you know your goal 5 years from now, what do you want to do? How do you see your life? Who are you helping? Right? Like, know these things, get very clear, because if you're not clear, then the universe can't even be clear with you. God don't even know where to take you. You don't even know where you want to go. How am I supposed to open up the door if you don't even know where you're trying to go? So get very clear on where you want to be, not tomorrow, not 2023, 2028. Because 2023 needs to be aligned to 2028. Excuse this, the UN goal thing. I threw that in there for another presentation that I had. But your 2028, like, know that. In 2028, I'm for sure have done a TED Talk. I'm going to be a nice high profile international speaker, like, period. Right? There's a certain amount I want to make by 2028 off of speaking engagements. So I'm positioning myself in 2023. Like, I'm not playing about my speaking in 2023. Like, I'm playing no games because I know by 2028, some heavy things are going to happen. Like, so there's certain things that I am working on for 2028. 2028, the makeup is coming, y'all. 2028. It's gonna be my 40th birthday. Okay. So we dropping okay, I'm a little secret. It's Melanin Beauty is coming in 2028. There's a reason why. I already know, and it's still rooted in Blackness, right? So I understand there's a bleaching epidemic across Africa and diaspora. White supremacy has taken it so much that Black women don't even like their skin, that they want to make themselves lighter. So for me, I'm like, well, Black is beautiful, baby. And I'm a dark chocolate woman and I love myself and I can still be beautiful, right? So it's still in alignment with Africa and the diaspora. So there's certain things this year that I will be doing to promote my beautiful Blackness, because I know Melanin Beauty is coming in 2028. I know where I'm going. I'm so clear. And because of that, there are certain things that I'm doing in 2023. I have a timeline, I have targets, I have check marks. And when I show up on social media, it will speak to what I want 2028 to be. So I'm not waiting for 2028 to happen to me. I'm going to go after my 2028 goals. I am creating them. I am engineering my success because I'm so clear where I want to be. Now I'm deliberate with every single action that I make. It is not, and I'd be like, people want to wake up and think success happens. No, you have to create success. Everyone is capable of making 2028 happen if they know what it looks like, and then they begin to create 2028 starting in 2023. It needs to be in a line. So I say 1 + 1 = 2. If you want to get to 5, it's 1 + 1 + 1 + 1. You don't just wake up at 5. It has to add up. And people aren't adding up their year after year, that they wake up in the same position. All of a sudden, you'll see a lot of people are going to wake up. They started, oh my gosh, in 2023, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this. And they're going to be in 2024, they done moved a millimeter because they're not intentional and deliberate. They have no plan. There's no strategy. There's no alignment. They're just waking up and doing, and they're letting life happen to them. So your personal brand, we begin to control our impact, right? Again, when I'm doing these things, you hear me talk about Melanin Beauty, it's not because I just want to have a makeup line. No, there's a message. I am promoting Blackness in every facet. I want Black women to understand that you can be beautiful just the way God made you. You do not need to bleach your skin, right? Like that's still the Africa and the diaspora piece. And it's still in alignment to what God has called me to do, which is transform Africa and the diaspora and bridge Africa and the diaspora. I am a vessel who will do that. One of the vessels, right? So everything that I'm doing is purposeful and it's deliberate, and the message is consistent with who I am and what God has called me to do. So I want you guys to think about that. I know I'm like going really deep into this, but you have to know your 2028 for your 2023 to be much more intentional, I would say. And you'll start to see that the opportunities will start to grow when you know that. All right. So know your purpose, your vision. What is your vision for yourself? You walk, where do you see? Literally, your imagination is your best friend, because if you can, and I know Disney is like, if you can see it, if you can dream it, you can be it, or whatever. No, but it's a real thing. Like, what do you see? And I remember my mom legitimately thought I was crazy like 4 years ago. And I was like, Mom, I was praying to God, and I was like, God, I'm Nigerian in America, not by chance. What am I supposed to do? Like, that was just my prayer. Because I was like, there's 200 million people who will switch spaces with me like right today. So what am I supposed to do? I knew that there was something, again, being more intentional with purpose and kind of hear my intuition. I was like, there's something about Africa and like me just being in America that, what is it, God? So God began to show me like I am this bridge between these two worlds, right? And so anyways, I had this epiphany. I was taking a shower and I got out and I hopped out and I called on my dad and I'm like, man, I'm gonna have this building in Africa and it's gonna do this and it's gonna do that and it's gonna have like this co-working space, but it's like it's way bigger than this co-working space. It's gonna do this and do that. And they legitimately thought I was freaking a lunatic. Okay. And I'm like, well, this is what I saw. Literally, like I saw this. Like, what are y'all talking about? So anyway, they thought I was crazy. Then I told my twin brother, I was like, man, yo, the Nigerian government, mind you, at this time, I literally have been to Nigeria one time when I told my twin brother this. And this was like about 4 years ago. And I was like, yeah, the Nigerian government ain't gonna listen to me, blah, blah. And he was like, okay, like, you're crazy. You're like, what are you talking about? Who? I don't know nobody in government. How is the Nigerian government gonna listen to you? So that was my vision, right? But I held on to that. I knew that I could feel it. I knew my purpose. So know that. And then what are your values? What do you value? Justice, boldness, leadership, collective impact. Like this is what I believe. I hold true to that. And it's never going to change. So an organization that's talking about Ubuntu, I'm like, yeah, let's roll, let's do it. And so it's an alignment with what I believe. Oh, blackness. Come on now. You black, you believe in black. Okay, let's get it. Oh, women, they're more than just wives and moms. Okay, boom. It's what I value. So I'm attracted to my values. It's not going to shift. So when you start talking about something else and it's not in alignment with my values, I don't want it. I project my values. I had someone ask me, Nancy, how do you know all these amazing women? I just project my values. And because they value what I value, we love each other off top. But if you don't know what your values are, you can't project them. Here's another key. You project it on social media. That's why I don't post random stuff. If it's not a value of mine, what am I don't want to project something that's not in alignment with what my core beliefs. I only project my core beliefs, period, point blank. I don't even want it because it's not my assignment. I'm not saying to be a robot. That's not what I'm saying. Enjoy life, do what you gotta do. But the core of you should be projecting your values intentionally because you're going to attract the right things. And because I project my values, and when I tell you Africa and the diaspora is one of those things like black people, I say I'm Pan-African. And if you black, I love you, period, point blank, and I want your success. I have worked with, I can't even start getting into all of the blessings that have come from me projecting my values. I have gotten phone calls. I get emails. I get people ask me to be on their board. Crazy things that are happening. Even this job that I landed that I'm getting paid to network. That's really what it is. It's because of my values that have been projected. And they're projected when I show up and I sit with you and I have a conversation with you. And they're also projected on LinkedIn. They're projected on, it's the same. Nancy's going to be Nancy, period, point blank. No matter who you are or where I am, whether it's digitally or physically, you're going to see my values, period. So I really want to spend time there before, because if you don't know your values, everything else that I'm about to tell you moving forward after this slide, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't freaking matter because you're going to be showing up and doing all those other things that I'm about to tell you, but your values aren't attached to it. So you're not going to you're not going to attract the right people. You're not going to attract the right opportunities. It's going to be so haphazard. I'm not saying you won't get opportunities, and I'm not going to say you're not going to attract people. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is it's not intentional and deliberate. And then it really holds you back from what you're supposed to have and all the opportunities that come with that. Do you guys know your values? It's just a question. Is that something that you guys have thought about? Just interested to know. Is this value conversation and projecting it? What are your thoughts? How does that resonate with you? Does that make sense? Is this something that you do intentionally? Yes or no? Should I spend time here? Can I move on?
It makes sense. I feel that's something that I intentionally do every single day with my posts and the things that I put out.
Good.
Everything you're saying is making sense. It's alignment. We on target. Just on
Good,
target.
good,
Keep going.
good, good, good. Yeah, and we'll get into how to project too, because and that's the strategy perspective, right? But at least knowing who you are and what you value, from the pictures that you show to the videos that you make to all of it, like it will come together. But know your values, and it's really just core values, like a business, like an organization. A lot of organizations have core values because they want people to make decisions out of their core values. This is what they believe in. So all of the employees, like, these are the things that we care deeply about. So that's the same thing with you. They're your personal values. So I don't make decisions if it's not in alignment with my personal values, which is why I can't work for certain organizations. When I turned 30, I was like, oh, I can't work for white people. Not that I have anything again, and it just is what it is. This is being recorded, but there was something that I had an incident, and not that it's traumatic, but it kind of positioned me to fall in alignment with my purpose, which is accelerating and elevating Black communities, right? Transforming Black communities. Therefore, the spaces that I'm in have to be about that specifically. So if you're an organization that's not basically hyper focused on elevating Africa or the diaspora, or the people in the diaspora, I don't want to be a part of it. Fair point blank. So everything that I do, I promise, if it's not in alignment, I don't want it. No, thank you. Next. And that is, let's start to make value-based decision making. That's what I call it. Make decisions not out of desperation, not out of oh, let me have this opportunity. It's value-based decision making, because it leads you closer to your influence and your impact. And that's how let's start to make that decision. And then sometimes it takes time. So you might turn down something that's really attractive, but it's just not in alignment with your values in this season. You have to know your voice too. What is the voice that you want to have when people think of you, right? So mine voice that I try to project is like a bold, powerful voice, right? Like I'm not necessarily the fun voice, which is okay. Like I'm okay with that. Like I'm not your fun creative girl. It's just I ain't her. But I'm bold and can't nobody tell me nothing. And you are powerful, and I'm gonna show up the way I show up. And that's just that. That is the voice I want to project into the atmosphere. So from the language that I use to the type of content that I put out, from the pictures, because you'll be surprised that a picture can project a voice also. So you need to know what your voice is. I don't know what it is, but you need to know what your voice is, and you need to ask yourself, and sometimes do a check with your audience too. Like, what voice do you hear? Like, how does it sound? Like, what type of personality am I bringing through my content? Ask people, because you might think it's hitting and it's not really projecting that voice that you want it to. So that means you need to make a shift. So know your voice, and then know who your target audience is. Sometimes we don't know our target audience, or we know our target audience, but we don't know what platform they're on. We haven't thought that deep, and we're just posting in places that your target audience is not on. Or we start to get distracted by the internet, and now we want to start serving all these different people, or we want to go where the money is, but not realizing that the money is everywhere, because there's all sorts of target audiences. So know who your target audience is. The more you can niche down and be specific, again, for the specific thing, until you increase your influence to the point where you can have multiple target audiences and multiple products and things like that. You know your target audience. Don't have too many. I love that. A double-minded person is unstable in all their ways. Girl, all this stuff be aligned to the scripture. Don't play with me now. Oh, okay. Oops, my bad. All right, so you know your target audience. Okay, so here's this is where it can go wrong. because we may not be packaged for the income, right? You have to know what you're offering the world. I remember there was a time where, because I'm like, man, God, you gave me so much knowledge. You gave me so much wisdom to be able to implement like strategies. And Nancy, you know how to scale really anything. You can design programming. Like there was so much that I could do, but I didn't have an offer. So now I'm just this person that people like, or this person who has influence, or this person who's hitting on the values, right? But well, or my personal values, right? But now I don't have a value proposition. People like me, they believe in the things that I'm saying, but what are you offering in exchange for currency? Which means you have to have a product or a service, right? I'm not saying go start a business, which I think most of us here have business. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, what are you offering the world? If it's speaking, is it a blog? Is it, because we have to learn how to monetize it. So at the end of the day, I say the world is a business. When you're talking about a transaction is a business. So if you're just offering value and what's happening, I had a conversation with someone, a value-packed person. I mean, they walking value, but they were scared to create an offer. They didn't want to charge. I'm like, just because you charge for something does not mean you're less impactful or you care less about humanity. Like that's not, I don't know about y'all Bible, but what I be looking at is not saying be poor, or that if you want to help the world, you can't charge. Like that's not, I don't know where that idea comes from. I don't know why we're scared to have a monetized amount attached to our value. I am valuable. Therefore, is a price point that comes with my value. You need to know that about yourself. So you need to have an offer. If you don't have an offer, I can't offer you money for what I want because you don't have, like, there's nothing for me to say, hey, I'll give you this if you give me that. Some of y'all just want to be doing that. And I had to tell this person, I was like, girl, why are you afraid to charge? So you need to have the conversation. Like, do you feel you're valuable? Because let me tell you, these people out here paying for bags and all sorts of stuff that they value. So, well, don't come to me, ask me for support. Because if you can't pay for what I believe that I believe I'll change people's lives. I believe that when you get in a room with me and I deliver some professional development to you and we start talking about, I will change your life. And there's really no price. How much to change your life? Well, that's $1 billion, but I'm only offering X, Y, and Z amount. Is really 0.1% of what it's worth. But if you can't see that, I'm not going to beg you to see that. But I know my value, and you need to stand in that. Because again, currency follows value. Therefore, if you value yourself, there's currency will be attached. I promise you, currency will follow that. But you have to believe it. You have to believe that whatever amount, and I tell people, oh, what should I price this? Whatever you believe it's worth, but not fake belief. No, I believe the blank cost as much. I remember at 3 years ago, my twin brother was like, how are you gonna get people to pay for the retreat? My twin is so funny. We're like opposite, but I'm making him a believer. It's cool. But he was like, how are you gonna get people to pay for no one will pay that much to go on the trip. I said, okay. Like well, first of all, you're not my target audience. I don't need to convince you that it's worth this much, but there's people who will see the value and pay for it to get what they believe they're gonna get. And it's happened. But guess what? I believed it. And just because really my whole family thought I was insane and they didn't believe, but I made them believers. That's how much my belief I was grounded in that. This is what it costs. This is what you're gonna get. And it's not for everybody. And I'm okay with that. Even if I get 1,000 no's, there's a yes out there because I know the vision that I have. I believe in the vision. My intuition and myself were in alignment. Therefore, there's someone that this thing that I have, it's for somebody and it's worth this much. Period. And you'll see, it'll start to come to you. But if you don't believe, so it's a mindset thing too. That's basically what I'm trying to say. Know your offer, have it, your product and your service. I'm not going to tell you where to price it at. What do you believe? Now you can do some market research. I think that's important. Like research is important. What's the market out there? What are they offering? Do you feel like yours is right in alignment with that? Do you believe yours is worth more? It's less, whatever, but it needs to come from your heart and put a price point on it, period. So there's times where I do speak for free and I don't speak for free. It just depends where my heart is. But I know whatever I'm delivering, the amount, there's a dollar amount on there. Now, right now, go ahead. Mimi.
Sorry.
Hey,
yeah,
girl.
sorry, y'all. I joined late. But I wanted to elaborate more on what she talked about belief. And I know I didn't even know what the price point was when Nancy talked about the retreat. But I already believed that it was going to be something that was of value. So no, it wasn't even about a price in the beginning to begin with. And we can use the same concept, like, for example, if Rihanna right now with Fenty Beauty wanted to charge anything, let's just even say her lip gloss is like what, $25? If Rihanna wanted to charge $50 for a lip gloss right now, we would buy it.
Mm-hmm.
We would buy it because of the value and the influence that she has. And Nancy didn't have to do a lot of convincing for me to buy into the idea because I already saw the value of it. So people will pay for what they find value in, is ultimately what I'm trying to say.
Period. And just you two believe in yourself, right? And that's why, like, well, how do you value yourself? That's the question I had to pose to the woman I was working with, because what is all of this free stuff? I don't understand. How are you going to multiply your income if you don't believe you're valuable? And if you believe you're valuable, then why isn't currency following it? Because that is the rules of the universe. Value, currency. That's the way the world works. So we have to believe that. So make sure that you've packaged something. If you speak, say, okay, you need to have a speaking package. You might not necessarily have to like have your price point right now. I don't have a price point right now. In the future, it's going to be 20,000. I believe I'm gonna be one of those speakers, but I don't believe that I can charge 20,000 right now to be at a speaking engagement. My belief is not there yet. It's not. So therefore, I don't charge it. In the universe, we're all in agreement. The universe, myself, and my price point, it ain't 20,000 right now. It will be there. I promise you it will, because I'm gonna be an Oprah. I'm gonna be Nancy Tyler or Rockbite will be equivalent, if not greater than Oprah Winfrey. That's what I believe. Therefore, when I show up to these spaces 10 years from now, run me my coin, unless I choose to do it for less or free, right? But it's worth what it will be worth when it's all said and done. So you need to know your offer, have your product and or service ready. Do people know this about you? If you're a speaker, do people know they can book you? Do you have it digitally positioned to make it easy for yourself to get the opportunity? And we'll talk about that just in a moment, but you need to be positioned. Your offers need to be out there. People need to know, like, it's a thing that you do. It's a thing that they can buy. It's a thing that you can serve them in this way, shape, or form. And do not be afraid to project it, because again,
Nancy.
You're changing the world. Yes. Who's that?
Latrice.
Oh, hey girl.
Hey, that was so good what you just said about, do people know that you're open for speaking engagements? Because I realized, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I want to do poetry, right? And I do want to do motivational speaking. And I realized, I'm like, yes, I've put stuff online, but have I actually said I'm open for booking? And so that's actually one of the things I'm going to be working on this week is just kind of putting a little Canva flyer together, open for booking. So
Period. Listen.
yeah, that's such a good point.
Yes, they need to know. They need to know. Or I have this service I can offer you. Oh my gosh, I have this really great lip gloss that will have your lips feeling rejuvenated. I don't know, but whatever it is, the world has to know about it. I'm gonna highlight Mimi, because one thing about Mimi, she don't have no shame with Agile Bay, okay? And she promotes it a lot, but I appreciate that because she believes that she has a product that speaks to women, that's promoting African fashion, right? Like she has no shame about it. And that's how we have to get with whatever it is. If it's a speaking, if it's a hosting, if it's written content, whatever it is, what is the thing that your personal brand that you want people to know? And project that into the world too, because money don't follow. It can't follow if you don't have value to give to the world. You want to say something, Delacroix?
Yeah, real quick. So I wholeheartedly agree with everything you're saying. And two, when we talk about value and what people value, I know I'm in the mental health field, right? I'm in the mental health and physical fitness, spiritual fitness field. People don't value that, to be honest. That's why you have so many suicide rates. That's why you having people having strokes out of nowhere, all these different things, because people would rather go spend their money on clothing and shoes than take care of their mental and emotional well-being. I've been in this industry for over 14 years, and I have noticed that people say that they want it, because I can't go anywhere without someone breaking down crying. Okay. And this is not me coaching them. This is just me, hey, how you doing? So it's definitely something that is needed. But my thing is, I'm trying to figure out how to change people's mindset about the way that it is viewed. Because in our community, Black community, we were taught that when you have a mental and emotional issue, that means that you're crazy and that you belong in a straitjacket. And mental wellness is so much more than that, and it affects everything we do in life. It affects how we show up in our business. It affects how we communicate in group settings to other women, to other business partners. It affects the way we think about money. It affects everything. And I believe it is one of the most valuable things on this earth, your mental and emotional well-being. Mm-hmm. And I do know that I've seen it. It affects, it's connected to everything that we do in life. And so when people are making money, they feel like they got it all together. But that is the absolute worst thing or thought to have when you see all of these celebrities committing suicide who have millions and billions of dollars. So it has been a challenge for me, because I get clients that sign up for consultations, but to get them to see that this is an investment in themselves, because clearly you can't hold a conversation without breaking down crying. You need the help. You absolutely need it. It's hands down, you need it. You need it. But to get them to make that commitment to self, they would rather go buy a bag.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I think certain products and or services, I won't say harder to sell. I would say it's probably harder to position. Your value proposition, I would say, and that's a different conversation, but your value proposition could be off, because sometimes we're projecting the offer in the way that we see it. But when you understand your target audience, you have to figure out how to get it to attract them. So it could be the language, it could be like how it's showing up, where it's showing up. Does it communicate to like what they need themselves? So that's probably a value proposition challenge that you're having. And when you start to, and when you talk about value proposition, it actually breaks it down into detail. You have to, it's psychology, right? Like, how do you get your target audience to understand the value in which you're offering. So how are you alleviating their pain point? So you have to understand their pain points that they're having. What are the things that matter to them or that they're struggling with? So yeah, I could probably do a session on
I
value
agree.
proposition.
It's a lot of pain
Yeah.
points. It
Yeah.
you do have to drive on a lot of pain points. And I personally do drive. At first I used to fight against it because I'm like, for me, I feel like that's manipulation. So I had to break past that myself, right? But you do have to drive a lot of pain points, which is why I tell my story so much, because I'm not exempt. Almost every Black woman, I ain't gonna say every Black woman, but a lot of Black women have had my experiences.
I would also say too, your stakeholder could be off, right? Or your stakeholder entry point. So for instance, so I was just talking to Nami actually this past weekend. I was like, oh, the city of Atlanta has this program where entrepreneurs, they give free training or whatever to all these different entrepreneurs. I said, oh, I want to be on the contractor side. So I want to be the person that they say, hey, we'll give you the money so you can train all these folks here that don't have money. And I'm like, oh, so now I am going to figure out how to get a proposal over to the city so y'all can run me that so I can deliver more impact, right? And then in exchange, y'all gonna give me this coin. So once I transform them, right, the people, the audience, which are these entrepreneurs, they will be the testimony to how amazing I am. And they won't wait on the city to say, hey, you need this person. So you might have to go through a different stakeholder. So it just depends. So yeah. So this here, the first thing we got to know what our offer is. Now, how to get it into selling is that's a whole different strategy and all of that. But if you need to at least know what you offer and project that.
So Nancy, so really quickly, I wanted to elaborate more on what Delacroix was saying. And thank you so much for sharing that, because I sometimes do know that when you cater to a specific audience, sometimes it's just more of like education and really leaning into your why, because if you're dealing with a demographic that has a disconnect with what your offering is, I think you may have to start I think you do a really good job of sharing your story. But what I will suggest is, I know for me, my brand is now mostly a lifestyle. Like I don't even try to sell Agile Bay. Agile Bay kind of sells itself. Like that could be me going into a grocery store or whatever. So this is me putting on my sales hat. How do you want your audience to connect with you? Like what's the first thing that you want your audience to know about what you offer? Not even what you offer. Like who is Delacroix? The moment I meet Delacroix, I should be able to see that Delacroix is a mental health advocate. She is all about, health and wellness or whatever. And because I see how she embodies that, whatever she's doing, I want that. And sometimes it's going to take a couple of tweaks and strategy and repositioning, like going back to what Nancy was saying. It just happened a few minutes ago. I left church. I'm minding my business. I didn't even try to promote my brand. My brand literally promoted itself, and it's starting to become a reoccurring thing because I'm very, very intentional about how I position myself and before my brand. So I would definitely encourage you and challenge you to probably apply the same concept and mindset to what you're doing too as well. So that's kind of what I wanted to offer to you.
Okay, I mean, what you're saying, I agree with, and I feel like that is what I do. I show up as my brand. Who I am online is who I am in person. All of my brand, everything that I post is about mental, and you see it when you meet me. There's not one conversation that I can have with anybody that when I finish talking to them for 5 minutes, they can take something and change their life.
I think it's a value
and I do that, yeah.
Value proposition.
I think,
strategy.
yeah.
I think I'll listen, we can get into that too on the next training. But when your value proposition is positioned properly, it's a magnet. It becomes a magnet. So we'll talk about that. But at least we know what we're offering, and we need to put it out there, right? I am open for speaking engagements. I have my blog, or here's my newsletter, or here's my journal article, whatever it is, put it out there into the universe, your product and your service. Once you know what your offer is, then we go digital, okay? For those of you who got amazing things to offer the world and you are not showcasing it digitally, you are selling yourself short, because technology has allowed us to reach the masses quickly with a high number. You can reach people at the highest level. So I have a question, right? As a matter of fact, okay, question. So you got your home girl. She's like, man, there's this restaurant, girl, it's so good. We should go on Friday. Can someone tell me the first thing that they're going to do? Once
They're going to go to their Instagram. They're going to go on Google, search them.
Period. You're going to go digital and you're going to try to find them. Can you tell me what happens when you can't find them digitally? What do you conclude?
I have concerns. It's a red flag. What's going on? Are you even a legal business? Like, you know, I have so many questions. I'm going to.
You're getting judged. We judge like, oh, they must not be like, you don't got a web, you don't have a website in 2023. You're not on socials. I question your credibility. I want y'all to know it does not change because you're a human. It doesn't change. A quality digital presence will amplify your credibility. Why? It's because it's 2023 and technology has consumed our world. So if you're not able to be found digitally, question mark, you are a red flag. People have questions. Are you who you say you are? Because I can't tell because you're not on the internet. That's what happens. So you want to make sure that you have a quality digital presence. And we're going to talk about what a quality digital presence is. Just because you're on Instagram with 10,000 followers does not mean you have a quality digital presence. Just so you are aware, it does not mean that. So how do we begin to develop a quality digital presence that's in alignment to our values, that is in alignment to our goals that we talked about in the beginning, that's in alignment to 2028, that's in alignment to our purpose, that's in alignment with the vision that we have for ourselves? First of all, being in alignment, that's quality. That's the beginning of having a quality digital presence. Your foundations that I talked about in the beginning, that has to be projected through digital media. And there's different ways to create digital media presence, which I'll get into. Okay, so first thing, you want to establish your visual identity aligned to who you are. Nancy Tyra-Rockby does not shift. Pro-Black, I love women. Women are more than moms and wives, okay? I'm all about the boldness, the modern day Deborah. African diaspora, we're bridging it, pro-Black, Pan-African, like you're going to get all of that from me. That is who I project into the world physically and digitally, but we're talking digital now. So know who you are, and it needs to be in alignment. Determine the channel that you want to use. So there are various social media platforms. You can, I would not advise you to be on all starting. Okay. Now, when you start to get on all of it's cool, but you need to have a focus. Now, I have a TikTok. Nancy has a TikTok and Strategic Solutions has a TikTok, but we're talking about personal brand now. I do have a TikTok. I am not on there a lot. Sometimes I even forget. Why? Because my target audience ain't on there. Now I have one, but they not on there. So if I'm going hard on TikTok, there's no point. I might have some likes. I might even go viral on TikTok, but them kids are not about to pay me. They're not. And they're not going to get me closer to the president. So just know what channel you are on and why. You also have to communicate your message consistently. There's no point, oh yeah, I have social media. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram and Facebook, and you're not communicating on there. It defeats the purpose. So great. I'm glad you have a cute profile picture and you have a LinkedIn, but why are you not using it? Why are you not communicating your message consistently on there? Why do you have Instagram and you post once every 3 months? It makes no sense. It's not consistent. Question. When you go to a social media page and you click on the last photo and it says 2021 on that business page, what do you conclude? What conclusion do you conclude when they haven't been active?
They're not
It's
in business
spam.
anymore.
You said what?
They're not in business anymore.
They're not in business anymore. What else?
Is this a spam account?
Is this spam? Crazy. I'm like, well, are they serious? Because I'm confused. Like, if you're a business or you have something to offer the world and you're not showing, I judge you. I'm like, oh, they can't be serious. I think that. Now, I could be wrong. I don't know them. So I don't trust them. I just don't know you. And this is the power of the digital, your digital presence, right? When you're talking about accelerated impact, okay, you're talking about reaching people who don't know you. I said, I'm going to change the world. The world don't know me. How do I build the world's trust? I can use these tools. So digital, your social media presence is a tool to build trust. And the more I communicate my message, the world who does not know me will begin to trust me. So go ahead and be like, I just don't have time. It's too much. Okay, well, let it be too much and you're just not going to be trusted, period. So understand that it's a tool for you to accelerate your impact. And when you accelerate your impact, the multiplied income follows, but you don't want to do the work. It's so hard to show up consistently. It's so hard to do X, Y, and Z. Well, it's so hard to make impact. It's so hard to multiply your income. So use the channels that make sense in alignment to your goals consistently. Weekly, you guys, weekly, in some way, shape, or capacity, you need to be on there weekly. Now, I'm not on LinkedIn I'm not. But boom, they gonna see I'm active on LinkedIn. And I'm not gonna go more than like a week where I'm not engaging in some way, shape, or fashion. Same thing with Instagram. What is your communication medium? So how are you showing up? So through Instagram, right? I'm a writer. Like I like to write. Like I actually, can I just be very transparent? I actually hate social media. If it were up to Nancy, if I could make the impact that I know God has, the type of impact he's called me to make, if I could not use social media and make that impact, I would choose that pathway. That is how much I don't like social media. I don't like it. I just don't. Like I'm not natural to like, I really just be by myself. Like I went walking this morning and I had a beautiful nature walk and I was like, oh, maybe I should capture this, but I really just want to be in the moment. Like, I don't even want my phone out. So I chose to have that moment to myself, but I also understand showing up builds trust. Showing up, I got to deliver my message. So I cannot afford to get in my way of impact. So sometimes we're allowing our personality to get in the way of the impact that we can potentially make. So I understand that actually, Nancy, it's not about you. Your comfort is really being in the damn house and kind of being, I'm an extroverted introvert. It's very interesting. But my comfort is that, but I have to get uncomfortable so I can be what God has called me to be and change the world truly, because I can't change the world in the house. I can't. So anyways, what is your communication medium? How are you showing up? So I use quotes a lot. I like to just say powerful things on LinkedIn. I like to write. I need to get back to writing my articles, but so I'll do quotes because I hate social media. So I'm trying to figure out a way where I can make my impact. I don't make reels like that. I'm not a content creator, y'all, and I'm not gonna be one. I'm not. But when I do make videos or I do make reels, I just do it in the way that fits Nancy. But I still show up. I can go live. I hate making freaking, I really do. But I'm also slowly growing out of my comfort zone so I can continue to make the impact. Because I know, guess what? Nancy, you don't like reels, but reels is what is going to get it. So you need to figure out how to make reels that in a way that's fitting and comfortable for you. So understand the platform in the different way, the different mediums that you're going to use on the platform. LinkedIn, I love LinkedIn because there's so many different ways that you can use LinkedIn, and we'll get into that in just a moment. But you need to understand how you're going to use the social media platform. So I have a YouTube. Now, I don't have my little studio set up to where I'm going to be doing teaching videos on YouTube. That's not how, but guess what? I turn my lives into YouTube videos. Boom, is there. You can watch it. And the reason why I have YouTube is so you can just find me, and someone who searches or Googles me, they can find my YouTube page and start to watch things that are promoting my message. That's why I got a YouTube page. So I use my strategy for YouTube is different than a beauty blogger. But guess what? We're both on there with a different strategy. Okay. So anyways, know how you're going to use these different tools or these different platforms. Align your social media strategy to your audience. Okay. So I named all these, and there's more. Bye, Crystal. Have a good church service, girl. Align your social media strategy to your audience. So personally, my girls, my ladies, they on LinkedIn. They are. That's social impact women who want to change the world, women who really that, right? Who believe in change agents, like they really on LinkedIn. Now, they're on Instagram too, but they really on LinkedIn. So I'm on LinkedIn, and Instagram is kind of like Instagram is cool too, because so my audience is really LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. I'm on those three heavy, and I have my reasons, and I'll talk about that later. But you have to know where your audience lives. Change agents, they not on TikTok. They might they don't live there. They don't live there and communicate my language. Basically, it's really on LinkedIn. They're not really on YouTube like that. Like when you want to learn something, you're on YouTube. You want to learn how to do a beat your face, you're gonna be on YouTube, right? But people who are trying to change the world, they're not consuming content to change the world on YouTube. I'm on YouTube, but I'm not on YouTube to find people to change the world with. I'm not.
I agree and I disagree. I think it depends on what you consider changing the world, because there are people on YouTube that have amazing content that are changing the world by providing information through education. Like, for example, in the tech industry, there are a lot of people on YouTube that are showing people how to break into tech. There are a lot of people that are on TikTok are showing people how to get into tech, or even just basic things.
Yes.
So I agree and disagree.
When I say change the world, it's and the relevance to my audience, right? So women who are engineering change, like I teach leadership. I teach leadership development for women through events and programming. They're not on YouTube saying, hey, let me find this program that's going to help elevate my personal development. They may go and learn how to increase their executive presence, maybe on YouTube. They might search that, but you're not searching for a program on YouTube per se. You're not networking on YouTube. So you do have to know your audience and what they're looking for and where they live to get what you offer. So what I offer, they're not on YouTube trying to find what I offer. That's what I mean. And so because I know my audience and I know what I'm offering, YouTube is not the best platform to showcase that and get the outcome that I want and the numbers that I want it. I still have a YouTube and I still showcase myself on YouTube, but they're on LinkedIn. I'm more networking, collaboration, come to this retreat. They're not looking for retreats on YouTube. I have a YouTube page to showcase the retreat and how we did it and the cool things that we did, but they're not searching on YouTube. That's what I mean. So yes, you can change the world on YouTube, but your audience, you need to make sure that they're on there in the way that you are with what you're offering.
Agreed.
And then of course, Instagram, Twitter, the more you understand the various platforms and how to use it, the better. Like a lot of tech folks, Twitter be popping with the tech in the tech world and all these little groups and stuff, but like they really be on Twitter. Like, I'm like, man, my audience, and it could be maybe my audience is on there and I don't know how to communicate with them through Twitter. Twitter is a very interesting space. I have one. I really just kind of put my thoughts and ideas. I'm not prioritizing Twitter right now because I know for sure my audience is on LinkedIn, they're on Facebook, and they're on Instagram, period, point blank. So that's where I'm really dominating that space. So just know where your audience is, how they communicate, what they're looking for, the buzzwords, the keywords. Like, you have to know these things because that's how you'll find them. Because again, the idea is to attract. Because selling is a volume thing, okay? So if I'm only being exposed to a certain amount of people, then my impact is limited. So what is the best platform where I can like be visible? Where's the platform where they're searching for me and they can find me very easily? So that is what you want to think about, because if you're accelerating your impact, well, that's eyeballs. The more eyeballs on you, the more impact you'll be able to make. And it's not just any type of eyeballs, it's the eyeballs of like the people that kind of want your stuff. So you want to get visible. All right. So I wanted to talk about LinkedIn and why it's good. And the reason why I'm talking about LinkedIn, because I'm like, as professional women, as thought leaders, we have to become thought leaders in the spaces that we're in. The more you want to increase your influence, and I'm not saying you can't increase your influence by not being a thought leader, that's not what I'm saying. But when you become the expert, it opens up doors at an accelerated pace. So it's like, oh no, that's the woman I want to fly in to do X, Y, and Z. Oh no, I need her at X and X, whatever. I need her at this panel. Oh, she's dope. Oh, did you try her stuff? Yeah. So you want to, LinkedIn is a very great space. Yes, it is professional, but how do you begin to showcase your message in a professional way, right? So again, we all offer different things. I think most of us here, if not everyone, is a speaker in some capacity. I think we have services that we offer that businesses or professionals would want. And I'll say this too, if you want me to be honest. There's research done, and the target, the population on, there's a higher income, what was it? Basically, people on LinkedIn have more money. Basically, like in the world, like literally, like people on LinkedIn have more money and they will spend money too. So my target audience, the reason why I want to be on TikTok, first of all, these kids can't afford what I'm offering. But you know who can afford what I'm offering? Professional women who are serious about their personal development. They're on LinkedIn. They are. So know your price point of things, know who you're trying to target, and you want to get on the platforms that are going to increase your chance of selling. So yeah, so I push LinkedIn. I just wanted to spend some time with LinkedIn. It shows a really good professional portfolio. So the beautiful thing about LinkedIn, and I'll do a specific LinkedIn training, but LinkedIn, from written content, so there's literally a newsletter feature. There is an event feature, okay? On LinkedIn, you can create an event. Then it says invite. You can literally invite your entire network on LinkedIn without their permission. People on LinkedIn actually want to collaborate. They're professionals. They want to network. Okay. So when they get an invite to something, they're actually going to like look at it and see if this something that will benefit me. If it's a no, they're not going to pay attention to it. But if it's something they're interested in, they're going to click accept. And I've done this strategy. I've gotten hundreds of emails just through just an event. And I'll tell you what I do. Once I send them the invite and they accept it and say they're going to be there, I send them a message. Hey, such and such, da, 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 da. I see whatever you accepted. So happy. So glad to have you. Make sure you register, because I want to be able to retarget you and I want to be able to remind you. So then I've now done that personal touch and I've invited them to my event, and now I have their email and their phone number and we have a touch point, right? But I'll tell you this too. I've probably had a message or some sort of exchange with a lot of people in my network on LinkedIn. So my first point of contact is not a sale, which is why I keep telling y'all to network, which Mimi actually will be doing Network with Purpose. I'm at the end of the month, because I'm like, if y'all be wanting to make impact, but y'all don't want to network. Y'all be wanting these coins, but you haven't done the legwork by simply networking, which will make everything so much easier. I promise you. So when I say, hey, make sure you register, it's not weird because we've already had some sort of interaction on the dang platform. So please make sure that there's steps to this first, but LinkedIn is amazing. Okay. It's amazing. What else did I want to say about that? Yeah. So that I use the event feature. It also has, like a portfolio feature. So when people come to my profile, I have my videos from when I've been on TV. I have like key articles that I want, like whatever I want you to go to in the feature section of my LinkedIn page is there. So people like, oh, I Googled you. You're amazing. I purposefully put some things on there that I want you to find. And let me tell you this, if you type in your name on Google, and you have a LinkedIn profile, the LinkedIn is the first thing that pops up. So it has a very high SEO ranking. So when you find my name and you click on my LinkedIn page, my portfolio on LinkedIn will direct you to all the places that I want you to see. It's the first thing that comes up with SEO on Google. So this is all about the positioning piece. So if I apply to something and they Google me, they're going to find me, and you're going to find what I want you to find first. You might find some other things I don't want you to find too, but you are going to first find what I want you to find. So I am controlling the narrative. Position yourself. You know what you're also going to find? My website. So when you put in Nancy Taya Rogbai, you're going to find nancyarogbai.com, which also has the things I want you to see. And there are links on my website to direct you to where I want you to go. You're also going to see my social media page, like literally, this is if they type in your name. Now, you also want if you have a business website, your business website to have keywords, which that's a whole nother, because this stuff takes time, and this stuff is in depth. Like it gets real serious. Like I'm not fully positioned the way I want to be. I'm fixing Satrina Solutions website. I'm still building my nancyarogbai.com. Like, but I have it. Right? You have to have a starting point. Don't wait for all of it to be finished perfectly before you start. You have to start and position yourself. The other day I got some lady on freaking as a matter of fact, I told Nimi about this. I had reached out to some woman because when I'm on Instagram, I search for women who have my values. Are you kidding me? I search for people who social impact for and guess what? I have my retreat, I was specifically wanting people from Canada. So I went on this like search rampage and just finding people's social media pages. And again, I'm judging their profiles based off of what I see. And are you projecting the values that I care about? And guess what I would do? Message them. Hey girl, I'm going to do my networking thing. Some people wrote back. Some people didn't, but I don't give a damn. I'm actually a real life. I love people, but some people, they be in their little whatever, but that doesn't faze me. I'm still going to reach out and still try to connect. I might get a few no's, I get yeses too. So this one girl, it was really a really interesting exchange, but she didn't really want to connect. All right, cool. Months later down the line, I get an email. Hey, we have our da 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 da. We want you to be a speaker for such and such, teaching on personal branding. So the girl done went through my profile and everything. She didn't click follow. This is why I say y'all be concerned about followers. She did not click follow. But months later, the girl done came back to my page, found me, and then sent me an email. So my personal page is positioned for opportunities. First of all, the first thing that you see, one of my pictures in the top row, it has a pin. I am taking speaking engagements, period, point blank. Here are the things I speak on. Okay, boom. My email there, you can email me. It's going to go to info@nancyarockbody.com. And I check my email, Lord and behold, this is the most recent one. So that's why I'm talking about it. Paid offer. All right, great. Hey, sis, how are you? This is a woman that didn't even want to connect with me. So sometimes we be wanting the opportunity right now, or the conversation right now, or the person to follow us right now. And it doesn't always work like that. Be okay with some rejections. Be okay with people saying, not right now. I don't have time to meet with you. Like, that's okay. But because I was bold enough to reach out, it led into a paid opportunity. Now she follows me. Now she like all my stuff and everything. And she want to figure out about the retreat, and we're going to figure out how to collaborate and so many things. But I reached out. And I was also positioned. So my profile spoke who I was. So she came back because she saw value through my digital profile. I didn't have to, guess what? My profile was so positioned that we didn't even need the conversation that I wanted for me to get an offer to speak paid, right? My profile did the speaking. This is this is the positioning I'm talking about. You want to be positioned for opportunities. Once you stay ready, you don't got to get ready. Somebody was about to speak. Was that Latrice?
No, it's Mimi. As you were talking, I definitely wanted to elaborate on just like showing up online, guys. Here's the thing: people are watching, whether you believe it or not.
Period.
And I like to use Diddy as an example. Diddy does a good job of showing up online. And what I love about Diddy is he is never afraid to promote his brand. And we're talking about somebody who's a billionaire. So if you think about somebody who's a billionaire that is still promoting his products, like his life depends on it. Like Diddy will come on there and he will talk about Ciroc like Ciroc is something that we've never heard of. And he would do it with his full chest. And I think for Black women, I want to encourage you, myself included, to show up online and not leave any like like don't feel bad for showing up, because I think sometimes we feel like, oh, I'm showing up too much, I'm promoting myself too much. You can never promote yourself too much. And I want it, because I see a lot of Black women do this. It's like, oh, I don't want to put this out there. What if they don't care to look at it? But guess what? People are watching. It literally happened to me. I think I was telling Nancy a few weeks ago. There was somebody that connected with me that was already following me. And he was talking to me about my own account. Like, oh yeah, there's a girl that I follow. Her name is Mimi Bello. I think she's also doing like some stuff in the agile space, talking about agile. He's telling me about the things that I am pushing. And it's so interesting how you just never know who comes across what you have to offer. So please, by any means necessary, promote away and don't hold back.
Promote and be positioned, you guys. Be positioned. The more positioned you are, first of all, you look legit. Like I said, that credibility. Also, nobody's offering nothing to nobody that's not credible. The more credible you are, so there's little, and maybe I need to create a tactics for credibility. Like when you got a website that says NimiBello.com or MichelleTurnbull.com or or Delacroix, what's your last name? Ism.com. Like when you have that, it'd be like, oh shoot, oh she's serious, right? And then that page now directs people to certain like it's just an extra touch. It's a splash of like credibility. That's all it is, right? Or when your website is official and it looks legit, like your business website. And remember, you're using your personal brand to accelerate the other things that you have going on. And once you know your goals 5 years out, you'll know, like, you'll begin to develop the pathway that will get you there. Right. So I'm like, okay, I need a NancyAragbai.com because Nancy Aragbai is so much more than strategic solutions. So I need some place that will direct people to the things that I have going on. I'm more than my consulting arm. I'm more than like, and I know what's coming up. So I knew that this year I needed my personal website because I know what I'm intentionally doing this year that will position me for 2028. So again, you'll know your timeline when you first get clear on what do you want 5 years out from now. And you'll know you might not need your NimiBello.com today if you just getting started. You need to just get started.
I'm gonna tell you from the tech side, data is king. Put the website up and just click coming soon and collect the email list. Like whether it takes you 3 years to figure it out, collect the email. Like that's one of the things I tell people. When you're on Instagram, think about Instagram is a stepping stone for you to meet people that you want to convert into community. The best thing you can do for yourself is have a domain where they can beat off Instagram. So if Instagram ever disappears or something ever happens, because it happens every so often where Instagram has a downtime, think about how do you still reach and connect with your audience. So if you're offering something and you don't even have a link in your bio that goes to your website, you're actually wasting your time on social media because you want people to click on that .com, go to your domain, and it also makes people more. It helps to also build trust with the customer too as well a lot faster. So whether you have it ready, like I think it was Latrice that was saying that she wants to start positioning herself. You can literally do it right now, and you can even make it easy for yourself. That's even called Linktree, and have a Linktree that has your information, has access to you. Make it easy for people to reach out to you and have access to you.
Oh, thank you don't make it hard. Because first of all, like there's some people I've seen their page and it's not, you don't make it my customer journey easy. I'm done after two clicks, 2-3 clicks, and I can't get what I need. I'm done. Moving on to the next one. You're making it difficult. You're making it hard. So please, yes, make it easy for yourself. This last thing for LinkedIn that I forgot to tell y'all, the searching ability on LinkedIn is insane. Let me tell y'all what I do. Okay. So I have an event coming up in LA. It's a Lead Hers Business Brunch. There's one coming up in Atlanta too. For anyone who's in Atlanta or LA, we'd love to have you. June 15th, August 5th. Okay. August 5th is Atlanta. Anyways, guess what I'm doing? I'm like, oh my gosh. Oh, Atlanta too. I have my retreat here in Atlanta. So I've been positioning myself for success with the Atlanta retreat and the expo, I should say, because it's paid tickets and it's a gala and it's going to be in Atlanta. I started last year so my keyword is like social impact, and I'll put Metro Atlanta, like literally, like so basically what I do, I put social impact as a key buzzword. I put people. You can even do businesses also, but I put people. And then I even filter it out more and I put Metro Atlanta or whatever region I want. It could be London, Canada. Like this is how I find people and connect with them. So I do that. And then all of the social impact people or social entrepreneur, like they pop up. LinkedIn pulls out those keywords. They all pop up. And I'm like, oh, Black woman. And I message them. Okay. Yes, go ahead.
So we had a conversation and I tried it. That didn't quite work. It worked that way for me. I was like, am I missing something? So you said you go to the search button on LinkedIn. You put in social impact.
Mm-hmm.
And then you search when you say search by people, are you putting in Black women or what do you?
So then there's a bar that says city I think it says people, it says businesses, location, like, so you can click on they're green, it's green buttons. And I'll do a LinkedIn training, but you'll click underneath, I click people, because I don't want the businesses to show up. I want people to show up.
People to show up. Mm-hmm.
And then I'll click location and I type in Metro Atlanta, and it brings up all the people who care about social impact or social entrepreneurship or whatever keyword I put in. And it brings up all the people in that region who care about those things because it's in their profile, talks about. Now, that's another thing. In LinkedIn, does your talks about actually, does it mention the things you actually talk about? Yes.
So that was another thing too, because I've been on my LinkedIn and I've been, because the talks about, I'm trying to figure out how did that even, I don't remember typing that in there. So, and I've been trying to go back to try to clear it out to put the things that I want in there.
You got to do it from your computer. That's a whole nother, because that feature is actually, it's not as easy, but yes, you can do it. You have to do it on
the computer.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, all the changes that you want to do on the back end for LinkedIn, it's better for you to do it on your computer. It doesn't have the same functionality on the phone.
Yeah. Okay. Because I've been trying. I'm like, she said, do such.
Make sure that the keywords, you have things that, so when you want to get booked for something, are you using keywords that people search? So that's important too. And then you can also search by those same keywords and filter it out. So I like to say great searching capabilities with LinkedIn. Dope, really dope. And I find people in different countries too through the searching capabilities. And because I know my values and the language and all that, we be in perfect harmony. Yes.
One more question. Is your LinkedIn a paid membership or do you have the regular LinkedIn?
I personally have the paid version. See you. Bye, Stella. Thank you for joining. But you can do this without the paid.
Okay.
I was like, Nancy, you wasting money. I just told myself today, start to use the features that you're actually paying for to enhance your experience on LinkedIn. My last thing is a web presence. Get your websites in order, okay? Get started on them. It's always a work in progress. You can make them better over time, but get your websites down. I say have a newsletter. You need opt-ins, right? So if you're not getting people's contacts, something's wrong with you. You're missing out. They're missing out on something key. So do they have a newsletter that they can sign up for? Is there some sort of email inquiry form? Like, I want to learn more. Is there a way that you can, how are you getting these people's contact? Is there a way for them to meet with you? Like, hey, 15-minute scheduling consultations, whatever it is, you need a strategy for an opt-in. Is it, hey, text or text this number here for my blah, blah, blah. Opt-in options, please. Okay, that's how you get to build, because sometimes you have to nurture people over time. There was this one girl, I done spent time with her last year. I done talked to her. We had like 2 conversations. She didn't buy. And this year, and she stays in contact. She messages my stuff, but I've been so busy this year. And she wanted to meet. And I'm like, girl, what does she girl want to meet about? She gonna waste my time. I don't have time like that anymore. But I was like, Nancy, just meet with her. When I tell you she was ready and paid, ready to go, but she was nurtured for over a year. She said, I know you're the person. I've been following you. Like, I just was waiting to get my money right. And I didn't have to sell her anything. Like, but she was ready. So I have options to meet. I had her contact. She's been following me. She gets communication when we send it out, but she was nurtured for literally a year. So some of these people are watching and they want to see, are you going to be consistent? Sometimes they be waiting for you to fail, but when you don't fail, they're like, all right, she's bossy. Let me go on and just join the party. And then that's how they are. So the haters too, the haters will be watching and they'll be believers too. And they'll, nurture them from hating to praising. Okay. And they'll spend with you also, but just make sure you have a way for people to opt in and for you to get their contact information. Because again, like Mimi mentioned, that social media platform disappears. You're just going to be starting all over for no reason. So do that. And that was it. I think, yep, that was pretty much it. It is 2:00. We have been here for 2 hours. I do want to give an opportunity for anyone to answer any question or to ask any questions or make any just additional comments before we close. This is being recorded, so I will certainly send this out to everyone. And I was gonna post it in Kajabi, but I was like, I might just do a private YouTube. Like, I want to make it for what are people already using that I'll still upload it into Kajabi, but I know probably just clicking and going to a YouTube will be easier instead of logging in. But I'll start to keep the videos private to our community. But any questions?
I do have a quick question.
Mhm.
It's sort of in regards to mixing your personal and your business content. Like sometimes I do lifestyle and I'm always struggling with, should I also post that on my business page? Sometimes it relates and then sometimes it's just showing who I am. So is that relevant? Should I do like, that's always where I have like a question mark and doesn't make sense to post on the business page.
I would say, well, it depends on what, go ahead. Do you want to answer that, Nimi?
I was gonna say, yeah, because I'm kind of in that space right now. And I would say that from a storytelling perspective, right? People also want to see your process, right? Let's not forget that. Showing your process is also a marketing strategy as well. And people want to see it. So if it's behind the scenes or you're doing a content day or you're doing inventory management or whatever the case is, right? People want to see the behind the scenes. Like, for example, I use myself as an example. Right now, I am at Sam's Club with my kids, right, on this call. If I wanted to shoot content and show people on my personal page that, hey, I'm your mom, I am getting ready for the week or whatever, that's good content for my personal page, right? When I was in Nigeria a week ago, shooting content and doing my campaign or whatever, and getting ready to relaunch my website, I'm going to be posting that stuff on my personal page and my business page too, because that's the content that people want to see. So I think when it's very personable, you want to differentiate, and it takes intentionality and just paying attention with what does my audience want to see, and your audience will start to tell you what they want to see too, as well. You can do that by doing polls or just even going on IG Live and even asking them like, hey, what would you guys like to see on my page, and they will tell you what they want to see as well.
I have, I would say, additional answer to that. This is where you have to know your end goal. So what I do personally, that's more Nancy related, I do not show that on Strategic Solutions. Like, you'll see, I guess you could lifestyle in the real stuff. Like, I'm gonna post the video of this, a snippet of this conversation on the business page and my personal page. But you're not going to see maybe Nancy was preparing for a speaking engagement. That's not going on Strategic Solutions. So depending on what the business is, because sometimes it's relatable. And also in about 3 years, you're not going to get much of Nancy anymore with Strategic Solutions. So I just got done talking to the content creator on how do we create more lifestyle videos that are more about the programming that we run. So we actually want to start leveraging the women and the conversations and things like that and the collaborative experiences versus Nancy showing up on the page, because Nancy will not be a major person in Strategic Solutions in 3 years. So I am phasing myself out and making it more about the women as a whole. So where is your business, Michelle? And if it's not, how do you show up to where it doesn't make it seem that way? So it's just knowing what your business does, where do you want it in a couple of years, right? And then a strategy to make sure the content that you're showcasing does that. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yep, it makes perfect sense, both of you. Thank you.
So let me add, I want to add just a little bit to that, because with my lifestyle stuff that I put on my page, it still coincides with my brand, my business. So I'm big on personal space, what does that look like? So I may post a video of me cleaning up, make a reel of me cleaning up. But I talk about that in my coaching about how when you declutter yourself, your brain begins to declutter itself. So when I post lifestyle stuff, it is always still a part of the messaging for me. So if I show me cooking, I'm a fitness coach. So that is still part of the messaging for me. But it's lifestyle, it's showing you what I'm eating, it's showing you how I'm preparing my food. So I think you can do it if you're still going to put the message with your brand to it. Now, like when she was saying, if you're going out, like you see me, like my birthday, I posted that. But just regular, you're not going to see that. You're not going to see that stuff on my page.
Mhm.
I may post more of my Chris Brown videos in my story, my spare time. I may post little things like that in my story versus on my page, because that still kind of shows you who I am, my interests, and what I like.
Yes, I think your personal brand has the potential for so much, but it's posting intentionally and it has to be directed somewhere, right? So soon you'll start to see like I have visionary coming up. So you'll see things that I'll start posting more content around, like being a visionary and what does that look like from a lifestyle perspective towards the end of the year. And then you'll start to see eventually I want to get back into my fitness. So I have Time Fitness, which is a very old page, but I want to bring that back to life. You'll start to see that in my personal page a little bit, but everything that you post should be directed somewhere, right? So the beautiful thing about your personal brand is you can do a lot, but it should be very intentional. And so what I'm saying is, like, for instance, Time Fitness, if I show something about me working out that doesn't belong on the Strategic Solutions page, it belongs on Time Fitness page. The visionary brand, it may not belong, it doesn't really belong on the Strategic Solutions page, but it can be on my personal brand page and my visionary page. So you want to make sure that whatever your personal brand, like for instance, Nimi has LinkedIn, Link Empower, Agile Bay, and Agile and Brunch. It's all on her Agile Bay page, but when she posts, it goes somewhere. Like Agile Bay is not on Link Empower. It's not. If it does show up, it's very intentional, but everything doesn't belong on every page. So you just have to know what does
and it takes time. It takes time, because there was a time where when I started, and I thank you for bringing that up, I was going to bring up the like differentiating your personal versus your business brand, because that is a thing that I think sometimes can be confusing, especially when you don't have a personal brand first and you started off with business. And that's kind of what my situation was. I started off with Link Empower. This was my startup company. And what was happening was I was disrupting the flow of my business, because people thought that I was the face of Link Empower, but I was able to catch it early on by differentiating. That's where Agile Bay came from, if I'm being completely transparent. And just having a differentiator of the agilist, the practitioner who is in tech and educates people about all things agile, the lifestyle or whatever. Agile is promoting agility, and then the Link Empower platform, which is more community focused. So what will start to happen is when you start to be intentional about your business versus your personal brand, you'll organically start to know what goes where. You'll start to know, because it takes a lot of time and intentionality for you to actually even say, okay, this is how I want to position this. This is how I want to position that. For example, I have my pop-up coming up in May. I did a collaboration post on my personal page and also on Agile Bay Styles. That's because I wanted people to know, like, hey, this is a personal invitation for you to come to this pop-up. I wanted people to feel invited, and I wanted it to be personal too. I could have decided that, hey, I want to post this on Agile Bay Styles. Guess what? Agile Bay has more followers than agile-based styles and more credibility than agile-based styles. So what I'm doing is I'm leveraging my personal brand to also push my clothing too as well. So it just takes a lot of intentionality and just knowing like, okay, when should I position things in? It just takes some time, and but the more you do it, the more you start to know what goes where.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. It does take a lot of time, but this is why I say start with yourself and your goals. Sometimes we jump. A lot of people actually, they start with passion. When you have the right foundation, then your strategy will become more clear because you're starting with who you are and what you want to achieve. Then your personal brand will speak to those things. So you'll know if you need to have a business page. I think everyone should start with a personal brand first. And if you didn't, then this is the time to really sit with yourself, know who you are and know what you want to achieve, which will now inform where you need to be and how and where, what page, and because you know what you want in 5 years. So that's where I'll say it's like I need to come back and bring women back to knowing who they are, which informs everything else. And yes, it does take time. I'm actually in June 2nd through June 5th. I'm doing an intensive. It's going to be 3 days. It'll be about 10 hours. So 2 hours on the Friday, 4 to 6 hours on that Saturday and that Sunday, to literally spend time in helping women to develop their personal brand from the foundational standpoint, because it does get confusing. What page, what this, what that, and we'll speak on like what offers too, and where do they show up. And so it's so deep. Like this, like Mimi said, you spent years on this. I've spent time really like, okay, God, what, because I'm so busy trying to do the service or sell the product that I don't have time to sit and be like, okay, I'm blocking off 10 hours. This is what I'm going to sit and I'm going to think strategically and then do. So mine has been like a 3-year evolution. And I'm like, damn, I wish I would have just sat my ass down and thought about these questions and did it. And then I would have not had the complications that I've had in the past. But yeah, so I am going to do that on the 2nd through the June 2nd through the 5th, the intensive.
I had a personal, I took it down because I really just don't care for it, right? That's just my personality. Like I really don't care to have all of me on social media, right? Because I'm like you, I'm an introvert. I'd rather be home chilling, and I don't want to have to showcase or feel like I have to, and I just refuse to be a slave to social media, right? And I think having social media impact and influence and using it to leverage it for our business to grow our businesses, but I think that we have to also understand that we have to bring balance with our social media in our life. And we can't get so consumed with trying to run all of these pages that is taken away from our personal time and personal true space. And so that was the reason why I personally, like first of all, I have my foundation page, the Flawless Foundation. I have the Flawless Fitness Apparel page. I have my coaching page. My coaching page used to be my fitness business page. And so, but my messaging has always been the same, even as a fitness instructor, when I was solely focused on that aspect. My messaging has always been the same. So it's easy for me just to kind of transition that page into more coaching and more speaking for me, because I was already kind of putting that on that page. But I like I said, and I do have a LinkedIn, I have Instagram, but I'm like you, I believe in going where my followers are and putting the time and attention where my followers are, not just my followers, but the ones that are going to pay me. The ones that's going to pay me. So I do believe in being intentional, but I do not believe in being a slave to anything. And sometimes we can get so consumed with the work of social media that we do become, and it's a harsh truth, that we do become enslaved to try and get the information out, trying to get the post out, trying to get, showcase this, trying to showcase that. And so when it becomes that, we have to begin to look at ourselves and say, okay, what am I missing for me?
Yes, I also think that I think people need to do a real assessment of what is feasible. Like I'm not on social media every day. I'm on there every day, but I don't post every day. And I'm on there every day because I be intentionally networking and doing da 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 da. I do check social,
Automation.
yeah,
Mhm.
but you need to be on social media consistently. There's certain parts of my life that I do not showcase. And when my husband pop up, he ain't gonna be on there either. There's certain parts of my life I want to keep for Nancy
Private.
that I
Mhm.
appreciate. But I also understand what's at stake if I don't show up.
Mhm. Mhm.
Right. So, and what, again, I have to project my values and I have to position myself for the things that I want. So
Correct.
I get out of my own way with also making sure that it's that right stretch, right? To where you don't break.
Correct.
It's great resistance, right? So
Correct.
yes, I'm
Mhm.
uncomfortable when
Mhm.
I did because I don't like social media, but I like it because it allows me to make greater impact, right?
Mhm.
And do what God has put me to do. So that's kind of where I can do it in a way I'm 2, 3 times a week, like I'm cool.
Mhm. So automation is good because like all my stuff, like people like, well, Doko, you on social media all the time. No, I'm not. I have stuff on automation. It goes out every day at a certain time and it's different things. So I'm not physically like on social media. And I do that to give me that space to pull back. So taking time to automate your posts, your emails, and different things like that, so that you're not being so consumed with the work of social media, I think is very good. The only thing that I physically go in and post are my video reels.
Mhm.
Other than that, everything is automated. Daytime, it goes out, and I take one day to set it all up for the month.
And I think it's important to understand the difference between a content creator and positioning.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is not about being a content creator. I'm saying show up, project your values in a consistent enough manner that will allow you to attract opportunities. Now, being a content creator actually does require you to be on social media regularly, daily, multiple times a day,
Right.
which can also lead to opportunities. But I'm not here to teach someone how to be a content creator. I'm not one myself, but
Right.
I know how to position myself for opportunities. I know how to make myself look so good that phone calls come in saying, hey, we want you. And
Mhm.
that's what I'm trying to get women to understand. So it does require you showing up in a certain way, being deliberate about what you are posting and your message. So
I
this is really
agree.
the foundation behind it. Once you have the foundations, there's strategies from image to the type of content you produce to how to do your value position and sell and things like that. Like there's so many other pieces to
I
it,
agree with what you're
but
saying.
the foundation is certainly key.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with what you're saying. Mhm.
Any last questions or what you want to see next, I would say, as far as like how to really do this thing effectively from selling, from positioning, whatever, what do you need more of? I know that what I've noticed, which is a big thing with the collective, which I know why God wants it. And I'm like, okay, well, the challenge is women don't want to network strategically. So we're going to teach the issue, and Nimi's going to lead a session called Networking with Purpose. There's also networking etiquette. There's a way to do it to where it doesn't turn people off. And we want to make sure that we teach that. So that's coming up on the 29th. But what specifically do you ladies feel like you need to kind of push your brands and your business forward? Because you're using yourself to push the business.
I personally would like to, I'm going to do some stuff when we get off with LinkedIn, but I personally would like to see